Hello and welcome to a demonstration of OKIT. OKIT is an open source tool, browser-based, for visually designing your Oracle Cloud Infrastructure estate. Once you've drawn it, you can then have the tooling provision that estate to your Oracle tenancy. It does that via generated Terraform, Ansible, or it can utilize the Oracle Resource Manager capability. I'm going to show you a quick demonstration of some of its capabilities, which will give you a flavor and hopefully will entice you to pull it from its GitHub home and start playing with it. In front of you, you will see my tenancy inside of OCI, and I have a tenancy with a compartment called OKIT demo, and I have no instances currently within that compartment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw enough to create an instance, and then hopefully you will see something appear in here to give you an idea of exactly how the tool works. So without further ado, let's get into OKIT itself. So I'm going to change my browser tab to OKIT. And there is OKIT. As I say, it's browser based. You pull down the source, you build the source, that creates you a Docker container, and you run it inside of Docker and you point your browser at it. So what you see in front of you on the left is the palette. On the right, you have the drawing area, and then there are some additional inspectors on the right-hand side. We'll come to a couple of those in a second. So what I want to do initially is draw something in OKIT. So I want to create a virtual machine. So in order to have a virtual machine, I need to have a virtual cloud network. So on the palette on the left, I have virtual cloud network, so I can pick that up and I can drop that on. I have the ability to change its name. I have the ability to change the CIDR block that it represents, but I'm going to leave those as the defaults for now. I want my virtual machine to be accessible from the outside world, so I'm going to drop an internet gateway on as well. I drop that on, and I have an internet gateway. If I want to, if I select that little internet gateway icon, I can change its properties. So that's where you see these things on the right. I can look at the properties of it. And if I want to, I could change its name, IG1 maybe, and give it a different name. The next thing I need in order to have this build correctly is I probably need a subnet. So I'm going to create a subnet. So I'm going to drop a subnet onto here. Again, same rules. I can change its name. So if I select it, I can change its name, the CIDR range, etc., whether I want it to be public or private, and it will change. I'm going to leave mine as they are for now because I just want to do this very quickly. The final thing I'm probably going to need is my instance itself. So at the top here, I have instances, and I can choose what ones I want. So if I drop an instance into that subnet, I can select it, and I get all the properties you would expect for me to be able to choose. I can change its shape. I'll keep the shape as is, but you can see if I go in here, I can get lots of big shapes in there that if I want to choose those. And I can select how many I want even actually, but I'm going to keep this as one at the moment. And I can do things like change its name. So I'm going to change its name to MMVM1. And I'm going to change its host name to match that, MMVM1. And I can do things down there like change the OS, the version, etc., etc. I want to SSH onto it, so I'm going to give a public key. I do that, and you can see down here there are additional options, even cloud init if I want to. With that in mind, I think I'm probably done, so I'm going to just validate. So the tab here says validate on it. If I select that one, it tells me that I'm not done because I've forgotten to do certain things. I don't have any root rules, and I don't have anything associated with my subnet. So what I'm going to do is just change that. So first of all, I go into the root rule. That's the root table there. You soon get to know how these all work. That's the root table there, and I need to add a rule to push everything out through the internet gateway. It selects my internet gateway as the service, the target type, and that's my IG1 internet gateway that I set up. So that's therefore that is now complete. I need to associate a root rule and a security list or a root table with my subnet. So I can select my subnet, and I can now, in the properties here, choose the root table and the security list. So if I select the root table, first of all, I only have a choice of one because I only have one in my diagram. You see that dropped onto the subnet. If you watch this security list here, when I select it down here, it gets dropped on as well. So now I think I've satisfied everything. Let me just check that. Yeah, there's no errors there. So I am now good to go on that. Now, before I go on to doing the provisioning, I want to show you one of the additional tabs down the right-hand side. There's one here called Cost Estimate. And what you can do is this, if I select it, that uses the public Oracle pricing information to give you an idea of what you're drawing versus how much it will cost. So you can get some pricing information as well. So very quickly, you can kind of see what you're drawing. And as you change things, obviously those numbers go up or down based upon the public pricing that we have available. So that's kind of cool if that's something that you are interested in. Okay, so what I'm interested in is trying to provision my virtual machine because I want to SSH onto it. So I'm going to do one thing over here. On the left-hand side, there is this menu bar. And I can do a number of things. So I can save this. So I can save that as a JSON format file so I can import it later. I can save it as a template, and I'll show you that right at the end. I can save it as a picture. So if I really like it, I can save it as a picture for my documentation, etc. But down here, you see these are the exports that we're interested in. I can export that as standard Terraform, and OKIT will generate the Terraform that I can then use in my standard Terraform environment. I do the same thing for Ansible, or I have Resource Manager. So when I select Resource Manager, it then gives me a connection box to my OCI tenancy. So I have to have a valid user with valid credentials to get into my tenancy. And I can select a profile. I select my region. And when I select my region, it gives me a list of the compartments. And you see it's already selected. You can see I've got lots of compartments. It selected my OKIT demo compartment. Now I'm in Resource Manager, so I need to create a new Resource Manager stack. I want to create a new one, so I'm going to call this Simple VM Stack. And I'm going to choose to apply. If I plan, it would just plan what it was going to do because as Terraform is used under the covers of Resource Manager, obviously. And if I apply, it's going to go ahead and try and build that if I have sufficient privilege and I have sufficient resources, etc. So I'm going to say create stack. And that kicks off the stack. That's it from here. So I'm going to go back to my tenancy now. Now I don't have any instances yet because I haven't got to that point because the Resource Manager stack has only just been created. So I'm going to go there and just show you that it has been created. So we go down the list and I can find Resource Manager. There it is. Hit stacks. My compartment. You see this stack has appeared now, Simple VM Stack. If I select it, I have an apply job which is in progress. And if I select on that, you can see it has kicked off that job to go ahead and apply the Terraform that was generated from OKIT. I'm going to pause the recording now because this takes a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes to do, and I'll resume when we have got a completed Resource Manager stack. Okay, welcome back. And as you can see, we have the green symbol for success. So that means our apply job has completed. If I go down the log, you can see that it said that it's applied everything correctly. And I have 6 new resources. So that's brilliant. If I come up to go back to compute and I select compute for my compartment, I do indeed have a new virtual machine in here. If I select it, I can pick up its public IP address. And if I copy that, I can go to a prompt, which I have here. And if I do SSH -I, my public key, private key, sorry, OPC at, and the new IP address, I need to accept that. And you can see I am on that VM. And if I do an uptime, just to prove things, that's been running for 2 minutes, which is obviously the time it's taken me to resume the recording and get back to you. So that is very simple. And obviously you can be far more complex about it, but that's a good way of actually showing you just how OKIT can help in that scenario. One thing also that OKIT can do, and I'll go back to OKIT now, what we can do is we can extend our design. So we've designed that, but now we you know, a couple of months later, we want to add a second instance. And again, you can imagine, you know, environments where this would be far more complex, but I can drop another instance in and I can do the same thing by changing its name. So I will call this one MMVM2, and I will change its name to MMVM2, and I will give it an SSH key, even though I'm not going to actually SSH onto this one. That will validate because that's fine. And I can now do a similar thing, but similar. I can export to Resource Manager again, give the same connection profile, the same compartment, and rather than doing a create a new stack, I'll say update. It brings back all of the stacks in my compartment, and I can now do a simple apply, which follows the rules of Terraform, and it should just give me the new VM without doing anything to any of the other components because I haven't changed any of the others. So if I say update stack, and then I go back into my OCI, go to my Resource Manager once more. I should see the one stack because I'm updating that stack. I'm not creating another one. I have a second apply job in progress. So if I select that apply job, that will kick off and that will go through. And when that apply job has done the plan and then the apply, it will actually come up with a second instance without touching any of the other infrastructure that I've put in place. I'll pause this until it's completed, and then I'll finish off by showing you exactly, you know, the fact that it does follow the rules of Terraform. So I'll join me after this is created. Okay, welcome back. You can see we've got green again, so that's good news. If I go down the log, you can see that it created that second instance, MMVM2, and here are the results of the application. So it created one resource and changed or destroyed no other. So you can see that it indeed did do as I hoped it would. So again, finally, back to my compute. You can see I have a second instance running now, and if I wanted to, I could SSH onto it. So you can see that you have a way of being able to visually draw, provision, and then extend with OKIT with zero sort of knowledge of how the Terraform is working, if that's your your preferred way of working. But you do have the ability to not do that if you need to. So I'm going to go back to the OKIT now because I just wanted to finish on something. Obviously, if you really like that design, you would like to save it. You can save it as a template. So as I mentioned, there was this there's a save as template. Well, what we've done in Oracle is we've put together some of these templates, but based upon our reference architectures. So if you see down here, we've got a few reference architectures. Now I'm going to pick one of these at random. I don't know what the Oracle Financial Services, I don't even know what that is, but we've got one there. If I select that, you see we've done some of the hard work already. So some of our reference architectures from our reference architecture platform, we've drawn and have here for you to utilize. So you can tweak these, and then obviously when you're happy, rather than building from scratch like I did, you can then go ahead and hit the resource manager. And again, as long as you've got the resource, it will build with minimal effort from you, so you can obviously get on with doing the bits that are important to you. Anyway, hopefully that was useful to you. If you need further information, please get in touch. But thanks for listening.